Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of HyperRogue. It is a new day for me. This is the first episode, the first game I'm recording today. I did watch a bit on YouTube of what's his name? Sprite Guard? Sprite something? What happened? What was that? That was a weird message. Come back. Where's the message? Oh. Okay, I'm not sure what happened. I thought I moved east last turn, but it seems like nothing actually happened. I'm not sure what the deal was there. Sprite Guard is the guy who is mentioned in the FAQ for this game as like, hey, if you want to watch some YouTube videos, try out Sprite Guard. I don't know, so I watched some of his stuff. And I learned some things, and, I am not planning to make exactly the same videos he is, or play exactly the same way he is, and also the stuff is, like, more than a year old, so some stuff seems out of date. But, tactics never change, right? There we go. So notably, like, I think that I talked about this like 100 times, right? But I think I'm focusing a little bit too hard, too much. Do you focus hard, or I don't know, on getting 25 of gems, because mostly you just don't need them. Especially, which way can I go here? Especially something that has been like sort of a mental block for me, and that I appreciate that he helped me sort out, is that I sort of thought that since you need to collect a bunch of dead orbs, go north, please. You must want to get 25 in the dead cave, right? So you can get a bunch of dead orbs. Makes sense. Have them show up all games. You can pile them up. But all kinds of orbs appear in the crossroads, which I knew but never really thought about. And you can just sort of farm them indefinitely in crossroads, and I really, really hate that that is a thing that you can and should do. I think the game would be a lot more interesting if that weren't an option, because then you would have, like, tactical reasons to do, or strategic reasons to do stuff that is tactically bad, right? Like collecting 25 of a treasure, especially in such a difficult zone as the Dead Cave, seems difficult to me anyway. Like that's a dangerous thing to do, and I sort of thought that the game was strategically rewarding you for making such a tactical poor decision by making you need these dead orbs, right? Which you could only get if you made these poor decisions. But you can just farm them up in crossroads forever, which means that the optimal strategy for, like, getting enough dead orbs to go find the Orb of Yendor is just, like, to not really play the game for a while and just sort of, like, walk back and forth in the crossroads, piling up goodies for no reason. I guess I've been spoiled by Dungeon Crawl, where they are aggressively against, the dev team, we, I guess. Just, Crawl's philosophy is aggressively against that kind of thing. Any repetitive or no-brainer decisions are, like, mostly taken out. Crawl is a game about tactics, and the other stuff that takes away from the fun of that gets fixed or removed or whatever. And so I'm not even used to thinking about, oh yeah, let's just farm up a bunch of dead orbs where it's perfectly safe, because what the heck fun is that? It's no fun at all. That's not why I'm playing this. So it's kind of frustrating to me that that seems to be the best way to win. I'd rather it weren't. So I think, though, what I'm going to probably do is still get 25 of these guys, because and you notice I did 25 of the ice diamonds, because that's something that I seem able to... Uh-oh. I got distracted talking about ice diamonds. And I walked towards enemies instead of away from them. Anyway, so what I'd like to do is like maybe just unlock the orbs of speed, because they're so good. And they'll help me in other zones, but I don't know. Most zones, if I'm not trying to get 25 of, I don't need a lot of help. I was able to get 10 in a lot of places without any particular help from orbs. So what I think I would like to do is win the game once the way that seems boring to me, and then after that play the game more for what I'm interested in, which is sort of high-density, tactics-packed experience. And so HyperRogue actually includes some alternate modes you can play in. Like, you can play what's called pure tactics mode, where you just choose a zone, or an area, a land, and that's just the only kind of land there is in the whole game. It's just one giant, say, icy lands. And you're just there to collect as many treasures as you want, or, I don't know, do something else, accomplish some other goal, but you can't ever leave the icy lands. And so that's kind of cool. If you want to, say, practice a zone, or if you just are not interested in the grand story of collecting many orbs or many treasures from many different places, then you can do that. Or if you want to challenge yourself to get a whole bunch of one treasure without having to worry about like other lands getting in the way or whatever. Yikes. I'd like out of here, please. Alright, we did it. Anyway, I'd like to win once the way that I think is boring, and then after that I'll have a little bit more right to complain about it being boring. I don't want to fall into the trap of... it's sort of a charged word to use, to say scrub, right? Like, I don't know. It probably bothers some people. There's an essay a long time ago about like what it means to be good at a game, and or to be good at anything. Gosh dang it! I can't get in. Would you come out and join me, please? Thank you. That didn't work. All right, I guess we'll just leave. And yeah, that's actually quite nice. One of the main thrusts of that article written by what's his name, I forget, is that players new to a game, well, not even players new to a game, but there's a difference between the mindset of a player who wants to get good at the game as it is, and play the game according to all of its actual mechanics and rules and so on, and will do anything within the rules to accomplish that goal, versus... Oh, I didn't realize we were in a living fjord. I kind of thought this was a warped coast, although obviously it's not. I don't like living fjords. I think I would like to leave if I can. They're scary. Although up here is a sea border, which is a little... I'd rather go to a minefield, yeah. Sorry about that. I'm back. I had to step away for a moment to take a phone call. Well, this is a long moment, honestly. So I sort of lost track of my train of thought. But I went back and reviewed the footage to see what the heck I was on about at the time, so that I wouldn't completely give up on it. I had just remembered I accidentally went to a living fjord, so that was bad, and I liked Minefield. It's much safer in here. But I was talking about why it is that I want to win the game once in the way that I don't consider that interesting. I think I was talking about that. I was talking in, like, I was describing, you know, I can't remember that guy's name. The one who wrote that thing about what a scrub is. I'm like, I don't know. That guy has said a lot of things that I don't think are that brilliant, but I do kind of like. I think it's a useful term. As someone who wants, rather than to get good at the game as it actually exists, they sort of invent a slightly different game that's like the way they kind of think it ought to be. And you hear, like, oh, you know, he talks about fighting games a lot. I think his name is David something, but I could be totally crazy. You know, people who use a lot of throws are cheap or whatever. Some mechanic that you can use to gain an advantage regularly against someone who doesn't really practice it. Or what? Really? I'm so bad at this. That's what I get for playing. What did I even do wrong here? I'm sure I did something really dumb wrong. I thought... I must have just misread what was on the square under me. Because I was correct that there is a bomb 2 tiles west of me. And I thought I was standing on a single mine square, and so walking here would be fine. But apparently that wasn't the case. Anyway, to sum up, I guess, since I sort of run out of gameplay for this episode, it can be tempting to arbitrarily limit yourself to a subset of the game that you're comfortable with, that you're happy with, and that can really stunt your growth at getting good at like what the game actually is. If you find a subset where you're comfortable and everyone who doesn't play that way, you're like, they're playing wrong and I'm playing right. But I kind of like to embrace the game's mechanics and do everything I can to do well with them. And so maybe after I've won this game, I sort of expect that I'll decide that all this stupid Orb of Yender forming up dead orbs is super boring, and that I would rather just do a lot of tactically interesting things, collect treasures in the fun lands, and so on. But I want to make sure first that I actually can win the game, and that I'm not just fooling myself and saying, oh, it's just when really the game's just too hard for me and I decide to play something easier instead. I want to make sure that's not the case, that I actually can win if I want. And then I'll feel okay about judging what parts of the game are stupid and boring and not that much fun. I don't know. Anyway, so we died. I guess I just wasn't really back in the zone when I came back from my phone call, and I was just sort of too busy talking to pay attention to what was going on, which is too dangerous in a minefield, so lesson learned, pay attention in minefields. Who would have guessed that that's a good strategy? Oh well, there's always next time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.